democracy looks everywhere. All night, all year, occupy everywhere. All night, all year, occupy everywhere. All night, all year, occupy everywhere.
Wall Street has gotten too corrupt and has too much power over our government. And I think it's great that finally enough people have gotten mad enough and organized enough for something like this to happen.
The corporations have and politicians have very effectively eroded all of the monitoring organizations or the things that we had to keep things in check. They've eroded all that since the 60s.
I don't think that I have business being anywhere else but here. This is the most important thing going on in the world right now. And this is a moment in time that humanity is going to look back on this and realize that there was a cataclysmic shift in human consciousness.
It's so obvious that the system we have now is completely broken because it only benefits a very, very, very small percentage of the population and completely screws over the rest.
The humanitarian missions are for people like you, and the bombing missions are for people like me. You know what I mean? It's for the cameras.
We both have tens of thousands of dollars worth of student loans. We can't get a job. I make $10 an hour. I'm never going to be able to pay those loans off.
We're trying to export democracy and we're doing it by violence. Does the irony of that situation hit you when you were in the Army?
Yes, absolutely. But this has not changed in thousands of years. This is how people spread ideologies. You know, crusades, you spread Christianity. America, we spread democracy with guys like me.
Reporting here live from Times Square. There's a peaceful protest. There's thousands of people out here showing their support for the movement against corporate greed in America. We just saw the riot police show up. About 15 cops in full riot gear walk through a peaceful crowd. They're using intimidating tactics. They have helmets and batons, and they work for the people that we're fighting against. 2 weeks ago, Chase Bank donated $4.6 million for security cameras and communication devices for the NYPD, and now they're here to prove to the crowd that we shouldn't be here. They're trying to intimidate people from coming. There's a reason they say that the people from the boroughs aren't coming out, is because for 10, 15 years since under Giuliani started, the cops have been intimidating and harassing minority New Yorkers, and now they're using that intimidation and harassment against us, the 99%, and we're not going to stand for it because we're here for peace, love, and a better world.
New York is one of the most paramilitarized cities in all the world. They're not police, they're paramilitary force. Right now, Occupy Wall Street is actually being treated as low-level terrorism.
You want to take back the Bronx?
Bronx, you want to take back the Bronx?
Shut it down!
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut the Bronx down!
My name is Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie.
And I'm fired up.
And I'm fired up.
I'm fired up.
I'm fired up.
About the police brutality.
About the police brutality.
The stop and frisk.
The stop and frisk.
The mass incarceration.
The mass incarceration.
And the demonic behavior of our police system.
And the demonic behavior of our police system.
I am a mother.
I am a mother.
I am a grandmother.
I am a grandmother.
And this came from church.
We need to build a society but there will be no need for the police as we know it. That there will be no need for a military complex as we know it. And so people are going to have to learn new trades that is not going to be gatekeepers to oppression. So it's going to be a difficult adjustment, but it's going to have to happen. And as you see the movement in all the world, people are fired up. And because of the whole social network, people are seeing it's not just happening in certain places, it's all over the world. And the social network is allowing people, even poor folks, are getting access to computers and seeing that this is not an isolated demonstration. And that's what's going to bring it down. Just like the wall in East Germany, there's the wall of capitalism, there's no putting holes or, there's no crazy glue that's going to keep it together.
It was brutal, horrible. I mean, we were beating. I mean, they came in when people were sleeping, like 2 o'clock in the morning, saying this is an eviction, get out. They threw tear gas in, pepper spray, just kept beating people.
After the raid last night, which of course they did in the wee hours of the morning, the lawyers that have been representing Occupy Wall Street went in to get an injunction, which the Supreme Court judge issued. And the police and Mayor Bloomberg have ignored that injunction. The meeting is going on right now. Imagine that Supreme Court judges' ears are steaming. Judges don't like their orders ignored. This is completely in a violation of the law. They're violating so many things about the Constitution. What country are we in?
Fuck the law! We're policemen after all! So they decided with their own initiative. And is there anything more entrepreneurial than that? On their own initiative. Brave men like Officer Albert Genie here have broken the law and continue for hours to break the law.
Que nos espera ansiosa, ansiosa la libertad.
Let's go, keep moving.
You don't like singing. Against police repression.
Against police repression.
Against racism.
Against racism.
And against this eviction. Shut the city down.
Shut the city down.
Workers and students.
Shut the city down. Workers and students. Shut the city down.
We have a long history of civil disobedience in this country. Despite the fact that the majority of people don't know about our history here, we do. We have a great history, labor history of struggle, and it's going to continue. We're going to occupy, if it's not this park, other parks, abandoned houses that have been foreclosed. We need to start taking over the factories, abandoned factories, and start rebuilding this country again, rebuilding the world.
They can beat on us, they can arrest us, but they can't defeat us.
We're here because it's the right thing to do. And even if we don't survive, maybe generations down the line, we'll see this as an example and can pick up the torch and continue, or elsewhere around the world, in the third world, in Europe, wherever.
We are almost home! We are almost home! We're winning in the courts! We're winning in the courts! Radical patience! Radical patience! They are not programmed for peace! They are not programmed for peace! They have donut sugar in their veins! Donut sugar in their veins! Be funny with them! Amen! Be funny with them! Be gentle with them! Be gentle with them! Have a non-violent return home! Have a non-violent return home! Revolution! Revolution!
We are here this afternoon to express our solidarity with the people around the world who have been victimized by the North Atlantic terrorist organization. In particular,
there should be no NATO. The Cold War is over. What do we need NATO for?
We are seeing a crashed economy. We're seeing record numbers of people in the streets, homeless people, not to mention people protesting. And this all must be dealt with, and it's all connected. Critics say, oh, what do these people want? They carry signs of every ilk on every issue. I think that's the movement's power, because so many different groups have coalesced.
We're a union town. And we've always been a union town. We've never lost that that consciousness and that sensibility about ourselves, of workers working hard, having some pride and dignity in the work they do, and not taking any shit.
Labor unions are very important. And I think that labor unions are learning from Occupy about flexing power.
May 1st began here. It's a Chicago holiday. It's been forgotten by most people, except the people in every other country outside the United States. Any revolutionary movement must keep on going, lest it stop. It's like a bicycle. Revolution is like a bicycle. If it stops going forward, it collapses.
I wish you all were marched against the war before we got there, which I did.
Wisconsin was inspired by the Arab Spring, by Tunisia and what happened in Egypt. That led to Wisconsin, which led to Occupy. And we are seeing a titanic shift in activism at the grassroots, changing the way politics are done.
It's about the people, the power of the people.
Some goddamn peace!
I think it's goddamn great. I'm so proud of all these people. We got over 25,000 people here marching for peace, finally. And Obama's going to get the message that we don't want to wait till 2014 to get our troops and NATO troops out of Afghanistan.
What brings you here to the NATO protest?
My deep held belief that we've got to take better care of our land, our people. There's so many people who are suffering, and the wars are so wrong. All the money we spend on brutality and hurting people in other countries.
Keep your eyes and ears open. They could be FBI. They could be Secret Service. They could be Chicago PD.
Yeah, I think America has become a police state. Since 9/11, they've easily used the fear of terrorism and the fear of getting attacked again to take away our personal liberties.
You are the reason I am rising. You are the reason I'm taking a stand against you all. You all are a bunch of cowards and you make me sick to my stomach. You all are a bunch of cowards and you make me sick to my stomach.
All these police are in the union. The union protects health care benefits, pensions, equal pay, overtime, maternity leave, equality. Mayor Emanuel wants to do away with these rights. We are here fighting for the rights of these police officers, and the trouble is these police officers know that we're here fighting for their rights, and they are as upset as we are, but they have to do their jobs.
Every time we've seen the police admit that undercover officers in plainclothes have incited violence that has been disguised as protesters to clamp down on free speech. So that's the only thing they can do to silence free speech here in America.
Absolutely nothing. Say it again, baby. What is it going for? Absolutely nothing. In the early morning rain. In the early morning rain. In the early morning rain.
Today, specifically, we are here as Vietnam veterans against war to support the Iraq and Afghan veterans who are going to give their medals back. This was done 41 years ago by the Vietnam veterans in Washington.
So I'm returning my global war on terrorism medal because I don't fight wars on adjectives. I'm going to toss this medal today for the 33,000 civilians who died in Afghanistan that won't have a monument built for them. And this is for the Afghan Youth Peace Volunteers.
Is, of course, my promise of free ponies for all Americans. Now, friends, once we switch over to a pony-based economy, life will be much, much sweeter. Now, some people say, Vermin, tell me more about this pony-based economy. Are we going to be using ponies for money? And I say, until we can shrink them down really small, the answer is no. Now, this is an absolutely free pony program. Now, there may be some administrative costs involved, in the pony health care system, the social pony security. Once we have universal pony ownership, we will have equity in our ponies. And once we have equity in our ponies, we will be able to borrow against this equity. And once we can create a pony-based debt, we will be able to allow the bankers to create very complicated, arcane financial instruments based on this imaginary pony debt. And once this is accomplished, we will create a very, very large pony bubble in our economy, and won't that be great until it explodes.
Excuse me, can we ask you a question about Occupy Wall Street?
I can't.
A question about Occupy Wall Street. Can we ask you a question about Occupy Wall Street?
I'm in a rush, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Not really. No, I'm sorry. No comment. Nope. Nope.
Wall Street? Can I ask you a question? Just wanted to ask you a question.
I don't have time to do a meeting, sorry.
No, thanks. No. Question about Occupy Wall Street.
Sorry, I'm running to...
Sorry, no. The movement?
Not really, thanks. No, sorry. Nothing.
About Occupy Wall Street?
Nothing. I'm not that bright. Oh, I'm sorry? No. Sorry, no, thank you. No. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't.
Homecoming. No, we're not allowed to speak. Company rules. Thank you.
Can we ask you a question about Occupy Wall Street?
If you like, yeah. Well, I kind of agree with what they're saying. You know, that it is completely unfair with the way things are handled within there and the way it's closed walls and nobody really sees what's going on. From that point of view, they're right. It should be more transparent. We should see more what they get up to.
This is where the federal government has designated the First Amendment zone, where 25 people or less can freely express their First Amendment rights. In 2004, both of my parents perished in Afghanistan. They fought for this country. And for me losing my life, my family, I have this little spot to say whatever I need to say because the government granted me, oh so graciously, these set of steps where I can say whatever I want to say.
The police started clearing the park every night. They wouldn't let anyone sleep at Union Square, although there have been people sleeping there for years. But now that it was occupied, they wanted no one to sleep there. So they moved everybody out of the park, the homeless people, the occupiers. So then they came down here, right over there, and they began sleeping on the sidewalk. And the police allowed them to do that for a few days, but then they no longer allowed that. So then a number of people, I guess, were sitting or attempting to sleep here, and they learned that these steps here are actually under a different jurisdiction. This is federal land.
I think what you're seeing now, if you look in Europe, is the effects of what's happening in Greece and Spain and France, is that it will get worse with the government not taking heed of what the public say, not looking at what is going on into the banking's dealings, and is actually dragging the rest of the world down with it. And the more you'll see that the government's failing, the more Occupy Wall Street movements you're going to see around the world.
We have a June 26th primary for my particular candidacy, but my candidacy is only a reflection of a movement, and our intention is to capture the House of Representatives in 2 years. So we already are thinking forward, we are moving forward, and the label Occupy itself is less important to us than the values of what brought people together, and it's the solidarity of the 99 and the solidarity of social and economic justice is what counts.
Do you work around here?
I do.
Where do you work?
40 Wall Street. It's trade unions, you know, and unions in general are trying to collectively barter for better contracts for all of their, you know, all their group members, and that's great, you know, but that's a totally separate message than the unemployed people are out here. And when you put so many separate messages together and you try to form one cohesive thought, you're not going to be able to do it. Right now you just have 10,000 angry people that are all angry about 10,000 different things, and you have no unity in any, you know, in any type of ideological message. I mean, what do you really hope to change? And why are you on Wall Street? Do you think that, like, if you stand outside and protest banks, that the bank owners are just gonna be like, ah, greed is out this year. We're totally done with greed, guys. Like, no, go down and, like, protest in Washington outside, you know. Here come your elections. Elect better representatives. Get rid of a two-party system that fights itself and never gets anything done. You know?
stand with the accused by occupying the court. Occupy all airwaves and spaces in between. Occupy the undercover and the overseen. But when occupying ain't enough and we need a next tactic, combine the global block map and see what happens. We do this for the people. We do this for the movement. Occupy America, that's what we do, and I'm free. Not defined by what I have or what I give to my community and humanity. I'm free. I know my identity. Really.
Pinochet a empêché son peuple de manifester, Charest nous empêche de manifester, et bien maintenant il faut se lever. Il faut manifester, il faut sortir dans les rues. J'ai 15 ans, je suis étudiant au secondaire, et je pense que c'est important que tout le monde, les adultes, les enfants, les adolescents, pacifiquement sortent dans les rues.
Good evening. May I have your attention just for a moment, please. I'm Commander François Houle, and I'll be accompanying with you tonight. This demonstration tonight is illegal.
For about 110 days, Montreal students have been on strike against the government's proposal to raise tuition 75% over a period of 5 years. For about the past 40 days, Montreal students have gathered at this park, thousands of students every single night walking through the streets of Montreal from about 8:30 p.m. until about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
La lutte qui était étudiante avant est devenue sociale, comme vous pouvez voir en ce moment. C'est des citoyens, des madame, monsieur, tout le monde qui sont en train de manifester en ce moment et qui sont eux aussi tannés. C'est un ras-le-bol de ce gouvernement-là qui est quasiment à la limite du dictateur.
On tape sur des casseroles, on se promène à travers la ville pour manifester notre mécontentement, non seulement face au projet de M. Charest, mais face aussi à la corruption de son gouvernement ou à la loi 78 qui brime les droits et libertés fondamentales des citoyens.
On trouve que nos moyens d'action sont nécessaires. C'est pour ça qu'aujourd'hui, on est dans la rue avec un message clair. Votre hausse des frais de scolarité, puis votre intimidation, puis votre violence, ben ça passe juste pas. On va jamais lâcher.
C'est comme une lutte contre le néolibéralisme, puis tranquillement on est en train de s'affirmer pour dire on veut une société beaucoup plus égalitaire, beaucoup plus accessible du moins, où c'est pas parce que tu viens d'un milieu plus défavorisé que tu n'as pas le droit d'avoir exactement la même chose que ton prochain qui lui a plus d'argent que toi. C'est rare de voir autant de personnes se soulever pour une cause commune. On peut parler d'un soulèvement, mais après, là, c'est les sociologues qui vont nous dire ça, puis les historiens.
Ces gens-là ont inventé des moyens de manifester, de protester. Ils vont certainement nous inventer ou nous proposer des moyens de changer la société. Mais soyez patients, là, on ne change pas le monde en une journée.
Révolution dans beaucoup de parties du monde. On pense au printemps arabe. Je ne sais pas si on peut parler de révolution au même sens, mais un réveil, ça c'est sûr.
Tous ensemble, grève générale! Tous ensemble, Money up, bonus and tax rebate. Never pay nothing on federal or state. Shoot for the loopholes and fraud so you can't complain. For it's 1, 2, 3 trillion you're out since we rig the game.
It feels good 1 year later to be back in the park with so many people. First and foremost, as a native New Yorker, normally this little square piece of concrete slab in the middle of New York City is a very ugly corporate space. And so last year was one of the first times that the convergence of people and what we called Occupy Wall Street, the convergence of people transformed this space into something beautiful.
Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Right now, Wall Street is effectively running the White House between Timothy Geithner. Larry Summers was the first, economics advisor. We have Jeffrey Immelt, who is he's the jobs advisor. Yet he's the guy as head of GE that's single-handedly laid off more workers and closed more factories and offshored more jobs than any other single person in this country. He's running the jobs program, so is it any wonder that the Obama White House is pointing to General Motors as the symbol of recovery? General Motors, is the symbol of the problem. It's not the solution. CEO salaries and corporate profits have recovered. They're doing great. We just saw that in the latest census figures, where the income for the top 5% has gone up 5%. While income for average people, the median income continues to go down as it has every year for the past decade and more. So we've got a real crisis on our hands. We can fire Wall Street. They should not be in the position of defining our policies at the level of the White House.
Occupy faith! Occupy faith! We'll be with you in numbers! We'll be with you in numbers! 50 strong! 50 strong! And at that time, we will be with you in all ways! We will be with you in all ways!
September 17th is a national day of action for Occupy Wall Street. Right now, behind me, we're at the corner of Wall Street and Broadway, where they've instituted a frozen zone, which is where they restrict all free access and all civil rights, and they make you show an ID to get past here. And it can't be just a driver's license, it has to be a corporate ID showing that you work or have some reason to be in one of these stock exchange buildings or one of these banks down here. So basically, this is no longer a free street, this is a street for bankers. This is one of the most blatant violations of all of the standard laws of the United States about free assembly, free access, and equality. It's a pretty sad scene to see checkpoints in the streets of America.
Occupy Wall Street really did come out of a lot of movements and a lot of struggle and frustration that existed long before September 17th in the counter-globalization movement, in anti-corporate movements, in movements against debt and for people who are losing their homes. And then, a ton of people, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people joined who'd never been politically active before.
B of A, you can't hide. We can see your greedy side. On the sidewalk, please. On the sidewalk, please. Back on the sidewalk. Back on the sidewalk. What's your name? Chris Phillips. Mike Jack. Mike Jack. This is what a police state looks like. This is what a police state looks like.
If you actually look at the details of what Obama delivered, it was essentially George Bush's policies, and then even worse. Although Obama's a wonderful orator and he's a very compelling human being, if you actually look at his policies, he gave us more Wall Street bailouts, far worse, more of these so-called corporate free trade agreements that offshore our jobs, undermine wages here at home and undermine the environment all around the world. He gave us expanding wars. This is not the peace president. The reason he brought the troops home was because he had no choice. This was George Bush's date of withdrawal. He expanded the war into Afghanistan and Pakistan and Somalia and Yemen. It's been absolutely devastating to the profile of Americans who are really regarded as war criminals now around the world.
One, we are the people. Two, we are united. Three, this occupation is not leaving. Occupy, shut it down. New York is the people's town. Occupy, shut it down. New York is the people's town. War machine, shut it down. War machine, shut it down. Occupy Wall Street, not Afghanistan. Occupy Wall Street.
You've been working in most of yourself.
Yes, I'm on Wall Street.
So you've seen the inside?
I have.
And you know why you're here, obviously.
I not only know why we're here, I know what's going on behind the scenes, and most of the protests aren't protesting the correct issue.
They're not?
No.
What should they protect?
The correct issue is protesting those who control the banks, not the banks themselves. A very small cabal of elites control all the banks.
Is that kind of politicians or no?
No, they control the politicians.
Yeah.
And they control both sides. They control both the Republican and the Democratic Party. So when you go to vote in November, you're really voting for a wrestling match. Yeah. It's run by the same producer.
It doesn't matter if you vote Obama or Romney.
It just doesn't matter.
Everything, Mike. the foes of justice tremble. This fight starts with me.